Racing at Rockingham Speedway in North Carolina this Easter weekend is a great example of what makes NASCAR so wonderful and the problems it faces today. There are tons of feel-good storylines with this revival of Rockingham and racing returning back to this historic racetrack, and yet there is a lot to unpack of how we got here and where NASCAR is headed in the future. I've had lots of people saying this weekend, Rockingham should have never left the schedule. Cup Series, NASCAR should have never left. And while I generally agree with you, here's the thing. In the early 2000s, while NASCAR was booming and was a huge popular sport, in fact, at one point, they were packing in around 130,000 people on average at tracks across the country. At that time, you had tracks like Las Vegas Motor Speedway and Texas Motor Speedway that were bringing in 150, 200,000 fans. I mean, there was a high demand to want NASCAR out there and to want more dates at the time. At its peak, Rockingham had a capacity of around 60,000, and they were struggling with attendance. It was not completely sold out, jam-packed in a time when NASCAR was absolutely booming. NASCAR absolutely needed to expand, and I'm a beneficiary of that, having grown up with Kansas Speedway as my home track. Without that expansion beyond the Mississippi and out west and into other new markets, NASCAR's growth would not be what it is today, and NASCAR would be in a much worse position. It was on the cutting block, a track with struggling attendance, a track that was already in an oversaturated market, a track that was dealing with a lawsuit, and a track that was kind of not owned by one of the major entities and used as a bargaining chip. Rockingham revival back in 2012, 2013 with the Truck Series coming back. We had an ARCA race and some ARCA races there in the late 2000s. So it's not like we've completely lost Rockingham, but it did feel like after that a failed attempt of a revival that we maybe lost Rockingham for good. Thankfully, due to new ownership, government money from the feds, as well as that being allocated by Roy Cooper and others in North Carolina to help benefit and boost racetracks in the Carolinas, we got Rockingham back, and oh boy, what a beautiful sight to see. We saw some amazing racing. We saw cars sliding across the track. We saw drivers really having to wheel it. I mean, Connor Zilich's pole lap was beauty in and of itself, where he's wheeling it, got a tire rub, and yet lays down a fast lap, demonstrating both pure talent and how hard these race cars are to drive. Teams and drivers tested both with fuel mileage, tire conservation, different strategies, and just having to pick different lines that come up through the pack, pick different grooves. I mean, it's a high-banked 1-mile multi-groove racetrack. It's everything that's awesome about NASCAR, and it's at this historic facility. What happens next? NASCAR today is making a really conscious and concerted effort to reach into new markets and avenues, like we saw with the LA Coliseum, the Chicago Street Course, and Mexico City race. But NASCAR has also tried to tend to its roots through Bowman Gray, through North Wilkesboro, through additional races at Atlanta and Darlington. And it's already in an oversaturated market with Rockingham, so it's hard to imagine the need for another race there. Kudos to the fans for selling out around a 20,000 capacity Xfinity race and a full looking stands for Friday night on a holiday weekend, no less. Just a lot to celebrate about Rockingham, and I hope that this continues for a while. And I do think that the Cup cars would run well there on a high-banked, multi-groove racetrack. I mean, we've seen that with Homestead, Kansas, and others, and it sort of races like something in between a short track and intermediate. Now, short track racing is not great right now, but I still think that the Cup cars would do great. However, I think you have to take a date from Darlington if you do add Rockingham to the schedule, and I would love to see that. I love Darlington, but I do think that you could swap those two out. It's a perfect encapsulation of how NASCAR got it wrong in the past by being way too aggressive of trying to reach new markets, while in doing so, cutting off its roots. And so I do appreciate that now NASCAR in its current era is trying to take care of its roots while also reaching out into new markets. And I'm curious to see what's next for the NASCAR schedule and for Rockingham Speedway.